my wife on the weekend just completed a half marathon. And
have you done that? Did you do that as well?
no, I was a spectator, and that is a challenge in its own, and getting around the course and getting all the shots. This was her second half marathon. And she actually did a PB, and she did it under 2 hours.
Yeah.
Fantastic result.
Yeah,
that is quick.
Yeah.
How many Ks is that?
21.2 Ks.
Yeah, right.
And the way she achieved that PB in that good time is when you start a marathon, you're on the start line, they have different groups as to typically what pace you might run at. When she
they do like under 2 hours, over 2 hours, sub
2:15,
9,
2.5, things
And then the
like
rest.
that, and then the rest. So
I'm usually
I
the
would
rest.
I'd be the rest, and then I'd catch an Uber the rest of the way.
So she's learned a little hack, and this is about putting yourself in uncomfortable places or surrounding yourself with those people you aspire to be. So her first marathon she did by mistake. She put herself in, I think, the sub 2 hour category and took off and ran the fastest 10K she ever had. But that was her strategy for this weekend as well, in the Brisbane Marathon. She actually went and placed herself in a faster group. You take off, guess what? You're trying to keep up with them. And ultimately, she got a better result from it.
What says that saying? The mind will give up before the body does.
Yeah.
So if you've got that target and that person that you're running with or trying to keep up, or that group that you're trying to keep up to, it's definitely going to elevate you for sure. And then I think that's a very powerful lesson even in business as well.
Yeah.
Being in that room and following those dreams and those aspirations.
How often do you find, speaking of mindset, how often do you find with the businesses you work with, how often do you find it's a mindset thing? And then how often do you find it's a structure thing?
I think structure precedes mindset. And
So
I think it
that?
changes throughout the stages of your business. I think to grow a business, your first $2 million is going to be the hardest $2 million you ever make. And that takes a lot of grit and determination. You're doing everything and you're operating in chaos. And there is a good chaos and energy that comes with that. And I think the mindset really kicks in to make that decision to go and start a business, because the statistics are in Australia that most small businesses will fail within the first two years. So
yeah. I think it's like 5 years in, it's 90-something% are wiped.
Yeah.
Something stupid.
It's a phenomenal statistic, isn't
You know what though? Everyone I talk to, been in business for a while.
So straight away, you're setting yourself up for quite a challenge.
Yeah.
And that does take, a mindset of resilience, a lot of fear and a lot of risk, and you've got to be comfortable with that.
I feel like your appetite for risk, you get more comfortable. Like I remember the first month I was in the negative. I almost threw up. I thought, oh, this is it. We're going under. Do you know what I mean? Like, what? We did it. We're backwards. Like, I could not believe it. And now you have a backwards month and you're like, it's okay. I've been there before.
Yeah.
Like, we'll make up for it.
Yeah.
Because you've been there.
And you can forecast now. You see the future. You're like, all right, backward month, but I know next month I've got this, and this. Or, hey, I need to do more work.
Yeah. But like,
Correct.
even with the I need to do more work, it's not panicked.
No.
Because you're like,
driven.
I've walked this path before.
You're no longer reacting, you're responding. And I see a lot of that happening in the market and the businesses at the moment with fuel prices going up, everyone's margins under a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Minimum wage rates are about to increase from the 1st of July. There's a lot of pressure on businesses right now, and I see a lot of people reacting. The first thing they do is look to cut cost, and I'm not saying that's incorrect. It's just an incomplete response. And I think the longer you've been in business, or the more you've actually endured and those negative months, I think you become better at responding to situations in your business than reacting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with the cutting costs, it's also just optimizing a little bit as well. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think you just got to sometimes step back and go, hey, there's a bunch of expenses that we don't need to be spending right now. And it sometimes means you got to cut back on some of those things.
Yeah, agree.
What should people do in that scenario? Like, what would be the first ideal step?
Well, it comes back to knowing your numbers in the business.
Mm.
I see a lot of people, when we say reacting, they are cutting cost, and it's not incomplete. It's not incorrect. It's just an incomplete response. But
Just part of the process. It
but starting from
can't be the only thing you got to do.
not from the bottom up with your numbers looking profit. Start with the top down. Look at your revenue. Look at what does it actually cost to serve? Where's your revenue coming from? Is it your customers actually profitable? There's some parts of your business where there's customers you may need to let go. Is there customers that are costing you more to serve than the profit that you're getting out of them? So starting at the top and actually just looking at the fundamentals of your business, really understanding that cost to serve, gross margin performance, and then look at the operating cost in your business afterwards.
I was fortunate enough to get a copy of the book early on, and I had a squiz through, and I do want to go back and read it properly. But you've written a book called, is it Business Pattern Science?
Business Pattern Science.
Business Pattern Science. Why chaos isn't random and what to do about it. And in the book, you talk about a story of someone that you worked with, and they had that exact same issue in the sense of they were doing a certain amount of revenue, but they had revenue they weren't really grossing well on.
Correct.
And they had to reduce it a significant amount. Do you want to share that story? Because I think it's quite, because most people, when I read this, I was like, fuck. Most people will not do this. And I'll be honest, like if I was in that person's seat and you came and told me to do this, I'd be like, there's no way.
It's a counterintuitive move to actually.
But it's the right move.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
When you see the end play, you're like, okay, this makes sense. You know what I mean?
Correct. So this was a business that I got placed into, somewhat by accident, and I was there to do a turnaround. This business was turning over $20 million, and when I arrived, that year they'd lost $2.5 million in profit. They'd lost their way. How were they surviving? They were owned by a large US corporation, and this was an Australian New Zealand division of that business. So we went in there, and the local general manager or managing director had lost his way. They were losing money, and my initial brief was to go there and shut it down. When we got there, quickly identified there were some fundamentals incorrect in their business and how they were charging for their work to start with. They were sending crews out to do work and losing money every hour they were sending them out there. So we fixed that up first and foremost. Then we actually looked at, they'd had quite significant growth from 10 million to 20 mil, and they'd actually diversified a lot of their services and got into a lot of markets which weren't their core business or their core competency. In doing that, they didn't quite understand how to price it. They weren't servicing their customers quite well. And the management team they had in place, they were flying blind. The managing director at the time was the one holding on to all the numbers. He was the only person in the business who actually knew the dire situation they were in, and they were losing money every single month. When I arrived there, it was a hard move, but we had to share that information with the team, saying, guys, like you're coming to work. They were hardworking employees. They were good guys, and they didn't want to come to work every day and lose money and feel like they were failing in their jobs. And, it was a hard conversation to have, but it was an important conversation that had to happen initially. So straight away, we empowered the management team with owning their P&Ls and the results. But the move that we made was to actually get back to core business. We actually diversified essentially and wound back from 20 mil to a $10 million business. And we celebrated making $1. The next month we made 1,000.
Yeah.
And then we just had that consistency. Once I saw consistent results, they weren't big results, consistent results. I'm like, okay, we've got a business model here that now works. From there, we scaled back up to 18 mil, and we were making $2.5 million profit at that number. So yeah, that took a number of years to complete. But yeah, sometimes you can actually make more money. And this is quite often the case for trade-based businesses and other service businesses. As they grow, they'll make more money at $4 million than what they are at $8 million.
Yeah, they'll turn more over and make less.
If you like that clip and you want to watch another one, click just over here. And if you want to watch the full episode, click just over here. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.